Hey, family, and welcome back to my channel, Women's Heart Podcast, your go-to destination for exploring faith, inspiration, health, and personal growth. Today, we are talking to a community impact leader who truly knows how to turn vision into value. He's empowering business owners to build companies that don't just grow, but endure. So get ready for powerful insights on sustainable value and strategic execution. Keep watching so you can get your blessing. Hi, and welcome back to Woman's Heart, a wellness podcast where we explore faith, inspiration, health, and personal growth. And today we have an extraordinary guest joining us, Ramon Ashlyn Parker, also known as RA. Now, RA is a dynamic business leader with a proven track record. He has consistently driven results from the meticulous world of healthcare finance to guiding companies through significant growth as a management consultant. Today, as the visionary behind SLVR Financial and private equity firm, RA partners with entrepreneurs offering hand-on strategy and capital to unlock new levels of success. So prepare to be inspired by RA as he shares his passion, expertise, and knowledge with us. Welcome to the show, RA.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. We're super excited to have you join us so we can glean some of your wisdom and we can have some gold nuggets dropped on us today. So I'm excited about that. So
All right.
let's jump in. So share with us from your heart who you are and what makes you get up in the morning.
I like that one. So to me, I get up because someone took a chance on me. And so I can go all the way back to, when I was born, really the idea of me being here was a great thing my parents had. Well, 3 months in, I turned blue and the doctors, my lips turned blue and the doctors didn't know why. So they rushed me off to Children's National Medical Center in DC. The doctor says, this isn't good. We think it's heart related. In fact, he's got 2 holes in his left ventricle of his heart. We're going to do surgery. I think I have an idea that I think can work, is what the doctor said to my parents.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes on to explain in detail how he's going to do it, why he thinks it's going to work. He had a name for the procedure, or a double outlet right ventricle procedure, where everything goes in and out through the right. Goes into all these details, hands him a form and say, can you sign this? So my parents took a chance on me, but they also took a chance on that surgeon who clearly defined what it is he was trying to do in a matter of seconds. And I'm still here. So what wakes me up is because they took a chance on me, I want to take a chance on other people as well. So that's what keeps me going.
I love that. That is so good. So we're talking to a walking miracle, basically.
Yeah, I'm grateful to be here every day. So I know I've got a purpose, and I know about the work I'm supposed to be doing. So that does keep me going for sure.
That is a blessing. I love that. So tell us a little bit about your journey, RA, like your background and your passion and what led you to business ownership, because it's been a journey, I'm sure.
It has been, and it's been an interesting one. I think it started out with healthcare because I thought that's the way to give back, because doctors helped me. So the way to help people is to be in healthcare. Well, there's a myriad of ways to help people, not just in healthcare. So I found myself there and got out of school, started working. And what was interesting, the business ownership piece I found really valuable. Probably when I was working in the health department. So very funny. I was a health inspector. So I was the guy that came in. Everybody always said, uh-oh, here comes the health inspector. When they first meet me, I got to clean everything up. I got to move this. I got to do this. So well, hold on a second. Let me learn about who you are, why you're doing your business, and then what you're trying to do here. And honestly, Edna, I don't think I knew what I was doing when I was asking questions like that. I think I was just trying to make people comfortable with the fact that I'm going to find out a bunch of problems, but I also had to find a way to motivate them to correct them.
Right.
And so what in that dialogue, though, what I found in doing that is that business owners started trusting me over time and started asking me real questions. Hey, man, you know where I can get another fryer from? If it was a restaurant, or hotels would say, hey, We have a really bad roach problem on this side of the building. And we always call the inspectors for that. But where do you think they're coming from? And
Mm,
how can we stop that? So people were asking me solution questions all the time.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so I think that the one that really got me was the guy said, "Hey man, thanks for opening up our business. This year we've done about 3 million. And I'm thinking about opening up a new location. Where do you think I should open the location?" I said, "Why didn't I get a cut of that?"
Right.
I was
Because you
like,
gave
wow,
them
this
a solution, right?
yeah, but his success came from partly him doing the work, of course. The other
Right.
part I think came from us having dialogue because it wasn't like I just came every, quarter. I was
Mhm,
there whenever there's a problem, but he also called me sometimes. And so business owners would do that. So I started to become kind of a confidant of these folks. I said, well, maybe I should try that. I said, well, I still got some work to do. I'll do
mhm,
that later. I'll do that later. And then I think the business ownership piece kind of followed me and tackled me and where I am today. So I think that's where it really started, though. Probably my 20s, probably answering questions for folks who were millionaires. I'll say, well, wait
mhm.
a minute. I should be working with them, but this is good practice for something huge. And
Absolutely.
and that something huge now is Silver Financial. So I'm grateful for that.
I love that. But I think what I'm hearing you say is God was equipping you along the way, as
Amen.
because everything you're leveraging now was building, it was all buildable. Everything you've
Amen.
done, from management consulting to working in the health space, all of that has
That's right.
you to where you are today.
Yeah.
Love that. That's so good. So your career spans healthcare, finance, and management consultant and private equity. So how did your early experiences in healthcare finance shape your approach to business strategy and investment in other sectors?
That's a good one too. I think I wanted to help reshape the business of healthcare. And I used to use this hand gesture when I was doing it. So I was a executive director of the free clinic, and I liked the fact that I was helping people as an executive, building systems, having a budget, putting together clinicians and building a practice of medicine that people could come into and get better. I thought it was awesome. And I
Right.
think
That's
that strategy, for that helped me to practice where I am today. But I think what shaped it was my ability to create what we call process maps.
mm-hmm,
I think really any business could use this, but
mm-hmm,
I think a process map helps out when you're looking at when your customer starts with you or walks in the door or first email or first client visit, all the way to when that client visit is over, or they've purchased a product, or they're repurchasing a product or returning one. What is that customer going to expect along those steps in that time frame? And
mm-hmm,
then who plays a role in each piece of those steps? So is it an assistant that emails them back for follow-up for appointments? Is there a product that you're going to discuss or show there? Are they going to get something that they asked for, or are you going to show them what they need to buy? So
mm-hmm.
those kind of things were important, but I think the process map is what really helped shape kind of how I approach, strategy now with clients that I have and also with the businesses that we're looking to acquire and also merge with. So, yep, I think that's where it comes from.
I love that. It's so good. So,
Mhm.
with your advice, and you've advised companies, I would say, on growth and transformation across multiple industries. What are some common challenges businesses face, and what strategies have you found most effective in helping them achieve sustainable growth? Other than the
Well,
business map, you said the
yeah,
process is important. Yeah.
yeah. So I think every business has challenges. I know I've got my own, but I think I found that when you have the correct mindset for business is when you're coming with a mindset of love and abundance,
Mm-hmm.
saying that, hey, I can do this. I'm comfortable with this. God's given me the talent to do this. I've had an experience. He's given
Mm-hmm.
me that practice over and over again, like I'd had early in my career. We've all kind of had that. We just have to look back and dig and find it. And that's the love piece. That's where you know that you're being protected and guided. Abundance
Mm-hmm.
would say there are enough clients out here for everyone, including me. And
Right.
I think that's how we tackle challenges. But when you have challenges, I think they fall into three buckets. We'll do three. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's lack of clarity, lack of structure, and lack of access. Because if we're
Mm,
starting a business out of love and abundance, the challenges are going to come from fear and lack.
right.
And so I think that's where they fall into those buckets. So like for clarity, right? So many businesses don't have like a clear roadmap as to where they're going. We've talked about this before, right? Where they're
Right.
growing, you're making money. Let me go get a line of credit real quick. That rate is at 25%. So now they're
Right.
chasing revenue. Revenue's here and the
Right.
debt is kind of doing this and they're chasing that the whole time. And it doesn't scale and they don't know how to define it because they haven't defined operationally,
Mhm.
financially, and of course, strategically, how they're going to grow. And I think
Right.
that lack of vision is what makes it hard to align teams or attract the right partners. I think the second lack that comes in these challenges is the lack of structure, right?
Mm,
So every business has momentum, and then wham, they hit a wall, they stall,
mhm,
they get stuck. These are some of the phrases I'm sure we've all heard. And so
mhm.
that kind of means that their back end structure or operational structure isn't built to scale. So I'm talking about legal structure, financial systems, team alignment, people, because we know that people, processes, and technology have to be aligned in order to have a successful business. But even capital partners won't write a check if you don't have the correct structure. And
Mhm.
so and so making sure that gets aligned is important too. And so then of course another big one is lack of access. And that's the biggest barrier, I think, to and challenges that we find. And really, it's not just about funding. I mean, money's part of it, sure, but there's also lack of mentorship, right? That's where you would come in, right? With the work that you're doing. Lack of strategy, of course, like I said before, and lack of networks, right? So
Mhm.
people again. So I think, talent and hustle, energy and drive, that's everywhere. I can find that anywhere. But ecosystems I can't find everywhere. And so
Mhm.
that's what Dreammaker solves, one of our products with Silver Financial. And I think that's important to know that those three, I think, so clarity, structure, and access, I think are some of the most common challenges I see. Mhm.
That's
But there's
really good.
strategies for that, right? So I think the best way to do that, again, coming back to love and abundance, is having clarity and alignment. So together, having a clear vision, moving forward, aligning yourself with the right people, processes, and technology. I think those are important. That helps for sustainable growth for sure.
Absolutely. I love that answer. That was really good. Thank you for that. That was I'm sure that the audience is gleaning a lot of wisdom from you right now.
Yeah.
Especially small business owners who are in that plateau and trying to think about what is that next move they need to make? How do they
Right.
pivot? So you
Mhm.
just gave them three answers and that's going to help them get to the next level. I love it. So
Right.
as the founder of SLVR
Mhm.
Financial, you emphasized providing both capital hands-on strategic management. So why is this combination so crucial for unlocking success for business owners and your partner, who you partner with?
Well, so and I give you $25 million right now. What are you gonna do with it?
Right, right.
So yes, you can find ways to spend it. We all do.
I'm
And I
sure. But
that's
you have
that's
to
a
have some vision there before you just grab $25 million. You want to be able to say, okay, this is the operating model. Sometimes you have to change that operating model so that you can, just sustain that growth that you're actually moving toward.
And right. So you have to look at, the economy, right? What the
Mhm.
market is saying. And our economy right now is,
Yeah.
I would say, in a strategic chaos right now.
Right. I call it political COVID. That's what I'm calling it. Keep me going.
They call it that too. Yeah, I think it's strategic chaos because there we don't know how some of these pieces of our economy are going to impact us, tariffs, all those kind of things.
Yeah.
So when you're getting access to capital, you've got the correct structure, like we talked about before. You've got the people, the processes, technology, all that's down. You've got also the idea of having the funding in your bank account, seeing it and saying, "Oh man, this is nice. It's nice." There's a mental
It's a
mindset where
bunch of
that says,
dollars.
"Okay, what is that?"
Right. That says a bunch of dollars in your account. That's what you get to
Yeah,
see.
and that's
Right.
nice. That's real cool. I think it's a sense of peace. I think it brings different energies for different people.
That's true.
And when that happens, when you've got that capital piece, And you've got the strategy combined. It kind of opens up the energy of money. And it says there's some safety here because money always needs safety. And
Mhm.
every dollar always needs a role or a job. I would like to say that. And so the
Yeah.
combination of having, strategic management along with access to capital makes it so that along the way, each decision point, whatever may come up, you can plan for that.
Mhm.
Right now,
Right.
it sounds people say, "Oh, you can't plan for everything." Yeah, you can. So in the event that the stock market crashes,
Mhm.
we saw what happened in 1929 when that happened. We saw in 2008 with Lehman Brothers and other people that happened.
Mhm.
We've seen what happens, and we know kind of how to hedge that, right? So when we hedge that by savings or having
Mhm.
enough in retirement as business owners, which we don't talk about enough,
Right.
we'll be able to, protect ourselves for certain parts of the economy, protect people, and then we can kind of protect the business as well by making sure that we have a product that people still want. I mean, that's the COVID proof answer, right? 5 years ago, around this time, people were trying to figure out, how to sustain life. But
Right.
again, if with that capital and strategic management, some people made it through COVID just fine. In fact, there are companies who we've now called them COVID proof, right?
Mhm.
So, so those businesses are those that have a service that people always need or product that they need, and that can be sustained by federal funding or state funding in the event of a loss of organizational structure. And so, if you don't have that combination, though, of strategic management along with that capital, people to spend money all kinds of ways. PPP money was
Right.
spent all kinds of ways.
Right. Thinking they
And
need
most of
certain
the time,
things
if
when
you
they really don't.
right,
Right.
that's exactly right. That's
Yeah.
exactly right. So we saw that what receiving funding looks like without strategic management, it's
Mhm.
PPP fraud.
Right.
With
Right. Right.
strategic management, we saw people paying money back and their business is still growing and scaling.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
That's good. So I'm loving these answers. They're so good.
Well,
So
thank you. I
important.
appreciate it.
So, oh yeah, absolutely. So with that said, you're known for your ability to connect vision with execution and your passion for building companies that last. So what are the
Thanks.
key elements of a strong vision and what practical steps should business leaders take to ensure their vision is successfully executed and leads to long-term success? And you just kind of alluded to it a little bit already, but can you take a
So I
deeper
think
dive?
Yeah,
Mhm.
so it needs to be wrapped in love and abundance, and I talked about that. The key elements to a strong vision is really being able to listen, and I think that that's sometimes tough as a business owner when you have so many voices coming at you from different ways.
That's true.
But I think if you started with a vision and sat with yourself and said, "How is my business remarkably different from what's already out there in the ecosystem?
Mhm.
What am I doing that's so different?" Right? A lot of people say, "Oh, I'm gonna write a book," or
Right.
say, "Oh, I'll be a coach," right? But they can't do what you do anyway. So, but there
Well,
people
thank
don't
you.
start off.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
if people
Right.
don't start off with a strong vision, though, of okay, there's a solution within this industry that I know about
Right.
because I know the problems, and so I can build an organization that does these few things. Okay? And then with that expertise, you can say, well, based on the economy, I have a vision to be able to form this organization in a way that's going to keep business owners from X or allow business owners to Y. So when you have that, the next practical steps you would need to take to make sure that's sustained is to share it with people, share your vision with other people, get
Mhm.
them to understand what you're trying to do and land the plane. So I always say this to people. So you're not a solution oriented company that's going to be solving client solutions by adding value to their company.
Mhm.
Okay, talk to me like I'm your grandchild or your nephew or your niece or your partner or whoever, just make it plain, right?
Mhm.
So I help
Yeah.
businesses get access to capital. And I think it's funny. I think if you can't land the plane and don't have that strong vision and don't have, a way to stepwise walk through it, you won't have it. So
Yeah.
Practical steps for business leaders, I think, is really just a strong vision. Say, okay, I've experience, I know the ecosystem, and I
Mhm,
know the economy of what I'm doing. Great. So you've got that vision piece. Practical steps.
mhm,
Really, we can go back to biblical, thoughts too. Write the vision and make it plain, right? Put it
mhm.
down on tablets, right? So I don't know if they're talking about, Android or Apple tablets in the word, but but
I know
write it,
what you, yes.
but you got to write it out, and then you give that to other people, and then they can run with it. So social media helps with that. I've got to get better at that. We have to get better at that as a company as well, and so
Yeah,
we're working on it. But also the
so,
other practical step would be to know your customer. You should know your
of course.
customer better than they know themselves when it comes to your product or your process that you're selling to them. And I think that
Good
piece
point
is
you're
the
making.
hmm?
That's a good point you're making there because I
Yeah,
remember
because
when,
mhm.
go
Go ahead.
ahead. I was going to share because you brought it to mind when you said know your customer. As a
Mhm.
management consultant, you had to know your customer, right? One of the
That's all
things
right.
that we did in my company, we would basically read the strategic plan of the agency that we were working with. So we would know more about them than they would know about themselves. So we could help them set their goals for the next 5 years. So
All
that
right.
is definitely profound. Understanding who your client is and understanding their needs and then meeting them where they are, but then taking them to where they need to go.
Got it. You got it. I think those are all the steps. We just defined it.
There
That
we
was what I was
go.
going to say next, and take them to the next step. But
Yeah,
but but
which
some of that again, knowing the customer piece, people say, well, what does that mean? Well, what do they
yeah,
like to drink? What kind of coffee they like to drink? Or do they like tea?
right.
Right. Who's
And being
important
on a
to
personal
them?
level too, RA,
Mhm.
getting on a
Mhm.
personal level with your clients,
Right.
important. It's I always say, my client became my friend, but they were my client first. But
Right.
because of the personal connections, you become friends, but they're still your client.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I think that's the most important part. And so understanding that you're addressing a need, not just
Hmm.
making a buddy, right? So you're addressing a need. And
Right.
when you've addressed that need, people will remember that. And
Yes.
I think that's what ensures a sustainment is that, like you said, you know them, you understand them, and you get them from where they are today to where they need to be. And people don't forget that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
real. That's real.
Mhm.
So I can hear you have a lot of passion for what you do and you're very intentional. I can hear it in your answers. So,
Mhm.
and that's critical to have and for people to look to for folks like you for your business to help them because people need that. Small business owners need that. I talk to small business owners all the time, every day
Mhm.
almost. And
Mhm.
it's just that they're looking for someone to help them with a solution, an affordable solution, but then also understand their needs enough that they can help them with that solution and to help them scale. Because there are a lot of businesses right now that are just plateaued. They're not moving to the next level because they don't know how to. They just kind of stay in that space of saying it's almost like they said hope is not a strategy. It's almost like they're hoping to get to the next thing. And
Yeah.
then you
Yeah, I
get
don't put
busy.
hope with my. I don't put the hope in details on paper for my teams.
Right. They
That's
need
right.
the strategy you bring behind it. So being intentional, I think that's important. And that passion that's coming across, I'm telling you, it's just like it's almost like you know that this is what you've been called to do, and you're just walking in your purpose.
Thank you.
So
Yeah,
thank you.
it's yeah. Thank it's been a long time. I was afraid of doing it. I didn't like being out in front of people.
That's a real thing. Yeah, it's a real thing that it holds us back for longer than we should, but it's because you just don't know. But now you're walking in faith.
Now walking in faith because I've
Yeah,
been given the confidence to do that by the experiences that God gave me prior to today.
yeah.
So I think when people say, "Oh, I'm not sure," well, I don't know if I
Mhm.
can do this. Like, well, wait a minute, how'd you get here?
Right,
Right? You got
right,
here some kind of way, and you got here by faith. And there's moments we all have where we lose our
exactly.
faith about something because we see it failing. Right? So failure is not always a negative thing, though. So
Mhm.
loss isn't always a bad thing. Loss of relationships or loss of business or clients. Oh no, the economy's bad. Federal government just dropped my government contract. this
Mhm.
is terrible. People start talking to themselves and they put themselves down a
Right,
path instead of saying, okay, so this guy cut. I figured this was going to happen. This is some strategic chaos. This is crazy.
right.
Or this is being orchestrated. So now what I need to do is make sure that I'm almost COVID proof in a way, in that I have a product that people have to have. And you have to ask
Mhm.
yourself, what do people have to have today? Well, one of them is a strategy, right?
Right. What do they need? What are the needs? Yeah, I love
I
that.
think a servant's heart, in addition to, having a strategy and then capital. So that's how I'm helping folks to do that. So, yeah.
And what I'm hearing too, and I always share this with businesses I work with because I strategize a lot with businesses and collaboration, is the law of reciprocity. I remember one guy asked me, he's like, well, what are you getting out of this? I was like, I am helping you get to where you need to be. And what happens is the law of reciprocity kind of rolls around. You're not looking for it, you're not asking for it. It's just because you're putting so much good energy out in the world, it's coming back to you
All right.
twofold.
That's
So I
right.
believe in that. It's a law of reciprocity, and I hear that that's a lot of what you're doing. You're helping others, so that eventually is going to come back to you. So clients are going to come through word of mouth, or people sharing about what you're doing and want to have a meeting with you and connect with you. Which leads me to this. Why don't you share your information with the audience so that if someone wants to further the conversation with you, they can reach out to you.
Yep, they can reach out to me. So both information that I'll give you is basically on LinkedIn, the platform LinkedIn. So my personal LinkedIn would be R.A. Parker. You can find me there on LinkedIn. And then you can find the business as well. And what we're doing in our lines of products and services is SLVR Financial on LinkedIn as well. So that'd be a great opportunity for folks to learn more about who we serve, and then also some of the events and projects that we have going on. So it's starting to ramp up, and I'm just thankful for the platform, for you allowing me to come on here. I've known you for a long time, and I've also watched you grow too. And it's awesome to see kind of where God takes us on these journeys. And right as you
Yeah.
think you're getting to a point where it's like, oh man, I'm about to hit that wall. It's like, wait a
Mhm.
minute. Then someone says, hey, or oh, I know her. Hey, let me ask you a question. Can we talk? And then from that, we're doing this. So, just
That's right.
keeps us moving forward with love and abundance. Yeah.
It
As the number
really
one
does.
key.
I love that. Those are the two words for the weekend: love and abundance.
Amen.
But keep
That's right.
that,
We got to
keep
stay in that
that
mindset. That's right.
right, right. We got to put that on the vision board, right? I'm a vision board. I'll create a vision board at the end of every year. I
Okay.
teach a board class, and one of the things I talk about is
Nice.
having your word for the year and your theme song. It's important because on days that as entrepreneurs, there's peaks and valleys. You need to have that theme song so you can plug it in and get inspired again, and you need to have that word to keep you moving forward. Mine this year
Right.
is faith.
All right. All right. Yeah, I'm,
Yes.
I'm keeping love and abundance. I might have to repeat that for next year's vision board because it's working out kind of nice this year.
Just using it now as like,
Yeah.
we'll keep saying it, but then next year have it like in front of you, like on your board, because that's what it
Mhm.
is. I love that. That's
Well,
good.
I'm gonna come to your class, the vision board class. I need to be a part of that. There you go.
I teach it right after Christmas and right before New Year's because we want
I'll
to
be
hit the
there.
ground running January 1.
I
and
will be there.
we have repeat attenders, which is a blessing because people have been coming for the last 3 or 4 years. And I'm like, this is so awesome to hear the testimonies is what's been really awesome. The
That's it.
accountability that have been developed, and some groups they get together and they help each other throughout the year. So yeah, it's a positive thing. It's powerful.
Cool. Cool. Cool.
Yeah, something to think on.
Right.
But I want to tell you that it's been a pleasure having you on the show again, and thank you for
Yeah.
taking your time to share the knowledge, the wisdom, and your passion and your intentionality. I love that. And your
Nice.
expertise with us. So you truly are what
Nice.
I consider a community impact leader.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. And blessings to you. And this is a great platform. I'm telling everybody about it. I think these are good opportunities for people to share, where they're going. And thank you for having the opportunity for the platform.
Absolutely, my pleasure. So as we wrap up, if you've enjoyed our time together, remember to share, like, comment, and subscribe to this podcast. You can connect with me at voemetoday@gmail.com. And if you want to learn more about our services and resources at voicesof encouragement.com. Remember, our mission is to empower minds and transform lives. And as we come to a close, as I always like to say, Ephesians 4:1, walk worthy of the call for which you were called. All right.